Who are you gonna call? These guys, actually. That's right, Ghostbusters, the movie that sexists have hated since it was first announced and whose trailers have been downvoted to hell and critics will refuse to actually see it, is good. Nothing special, but it's a funny, scary, entertaining summer flick. It's fine, guys, it's fine. I'm Alex from WhatCulture.com and here are 6 ups and 4 downs from Ghostbusters 2016. First the ups. Number 6, the recasting works. Tackling the major issue head on, the new Busters are good. They fit the broad archetypes of the original, but they bring enough new stuff to be memorable by themselves. Their characters could be a little more developed, especially Melissa McCarthy, who is basically playing herself, but overall, the actresses are likeable enough that you want to spend 2 hours with them. The standout is Kate McKinnon, who is a ball of eccentric energy as the gang's techie Holtzman. She doesn't get that many belly laughs, and some of her jargon is more irritating than endearing, but she's so constantly off kilter, it's hard not to just chuckle along with her. 5, the gender politics are front and centre, and they work. The gender swap recasting is far from the end of the movie's politics. Like all of Paul Feig's other films, this is about women's place in society, specifically here where they fit in science, and there's a big thing about scientific method and celebrity. That's right, this movie is about the backlash. Some of the more pointed jokes, and there's a lot of them, will have been added in after the casting reaction, but the movie is intrinsically about asking the question of how would people react to a new female Ghostbusters, and what does that say about our current society? I mean, that's kind of smart when you think about it.
So I don't know if it was a race thing or a lady thing, but I'm mad as hell.
Number 4, it's really dealing with bullying. For all the gender stuff though, Ghostbusters is about something more universal. It's about how we deal with bullying and about not being afraid of who you are. Both Kristen Wiig's Aaron Gilbert and the movie's villain were bullied for believing in ghosts growing up, but chose to deal with it in adulthood in 2 different ways. He let it feed resentment and used it to plot a scheme against all those who wronged him, whereas she embraces what makes her unique over the course of the movie. That's again got a bit of a parallel to the whole backlash, but it speaks of something bigger. It's all about inclusivity. Number 3, more jokes hit than miss. The first good joke in Ghostbusters comes about 20 seconds in. 20 seconds. From a movie that everybody thought would struggle to make you smile once. And from there, there's a constant run of gags, both big and small, that mean you'll be chuckling along throughout the entire thing. There are quite a few misses, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the pop culture references are based on very obvious gags about classic movies. You have a Scarface, say hello to my little friend joke in there that doesn't work, and the awkward comedy can feel quite contrived. But overall, there's more hits than misses. Even jokes that failed in the trailers work in the context. Well, aside from that Exorcist possession thing, that's as crap as it always looked. Number 2, Chris Hemsworth is hilarious. Okay, so Ghostbusters is quite funny, but Chris Hemsworth is something else as the gang's receptionist. He's dim-witted, and every single joke the movie makes with him lands. And there's something really endearing about Kevin. We start off laughing at him, oh, he doesn't know how to answer the phone, he doesn't know what Ghostbusters is. But over the movie, like with the gang, we begin to really care for him. You like this character, you want him to be the 5th Ghostbuster. It's a bit like Jason Statham in Spy. It's another actor we didn't know who could do comedy, and in the trailers looked to be playing it really broad. But when it gets down to it, is so consistently good. Whenever he comes on screen, you're giddy waiting for the next joke. Number 1, the cameos and throwbacks are more than blind nostalgia. There's a lot of cameos in Ghostbusters 2016 from the cast of the 1984 original, and unlike the trailers, I'm not going to spoil them, but I will say this. They're brilliant. Each actor gets a fitting appearance that fits their personality and their place in the canon, but more importantly, it doesn't pull you out of the movie, it powers you along, it's enjoyable but it's not distracting. The same is true of all the throwback referencing, which is quite irreverent for a movie that's so steeped in all this, because it's not blind nostalgia, it's using things that you know to say something new. Those themes we discussed earlier work because it's got the backing of the Ghostbusters franchise on it. And with that positive conclusion, it's time to look at what really drags the movie down. Bonus down, the new theme. Right, before we get to the real downs, I want to talk about the new theme tune. It's terrible. Why they got 2016 Fall Out Boy to do it, I have no idea, but it turns out worse than we expected. It's very telling that before the UK press screening, they were playing Ray Parker Jr. on a loop. But thankfully, it's barely in the film. The only bit that plays is the most palatable 20 seconds over a montage. Dodge the proton bullet there. Whenever I tell a joke, it always sounds like... And now the real downs. Number 4, it's edited to hell. Like most 2016 blockbusters, you know, X-Men Apocalypse, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Independence Day Resurgence, Ghostbusters is really curiously edited. The pacing of the movie is all over the shop with massive time jumps and stilted developments. Characters just do things because the plot demands it. They know who the villain is because the audience has seen who the villain is in a completely different scene. And there's a bit where a character saves the day at a climactic moment and all the others are like, "Oh, welcome back, we're so glad you came back." And I was like, "But you didn't leave." Irritatingly, it really hurts individual scenes as well, with entire beats just chopped to hell. That Exorcist scene is made all the worse because it just is so choppy and sporadic. At points it feels like we're watching a montage. You're not seeing full sequences, you're getting a taste of them. It's like with Batman v Superman. I almost feel like this movie was chopped down from something bigger, but it's 116 minutes, so that can't be the case, right? Number 3, there's a lack of real conflict. You're never in doubt the good guys are going to win, and not just because it's a summer movie. The stakes are so unclear that it's impossible to get properly invested in it. I still don't really know what the bad guys' ultimate plan was. Those editing problems won't have helped either. The choppy and sudden scenes mean that there's very little tension actually built. In fact, there's only one moment at the start that is actually scary. For the rest of the movie, it's just kind of mildly creepy, which is a real shame for a horror comedy. Number 2, stilted flat blocking. Right, time for a bit of film 101. Many scenes, particularly the early expository ones, are incredibly poorly blocked. You have these really big, interesting sets, but the actors just stand around in a line on the same spot the entire time while the camera just films them straight on or at right angles. It's very unengaging scene construction that makes the whole thing much harder to get into and really highlights some of the story's shortcomings. And I think this is because of the amount of improvisation in the film. The actors have the freedom to ad-lib all they want, but to do that, they need to make it easy for the cinematographer and stand still. And that's kind of fair enough, but these guys have been in big improv movies before. They should know how to do it better than this. Number 1, Slimer is unnecessary. Okay, wow, those last 3 downs were quite serious, weren't they? Let's end with something a bit more fun and something that'll probably be music to many detractors' ears. Slimer doesn't work. All the other references are nicely pitched, but this one is so obvious and so unfunny and so forced. Slimer just doesn't fit with the tone of this movie. And he really shouldn't be in there. I know you have to work him in, but not like this. And then you have the whole issue of Slimer's wife, which is just... how the f*** does that work? Look, I know you need to put Slimer in the film, but this is not the way to do it. It just doesn't work. So there's our review of Ghostbusters. What did you think? Are you excited for more, or do you think it's terrible sight unseen and that critics have been paid to say it's good? All non-sexist opinions down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more great film content. You can follow me on Twitter here, and I'll see you soon.